So I should have probably posted this yesterday, but I was exhausted. Like, unbearably exhausted after my 4 nights. But I did have therapy yesterday. So, as always, here is my therapy recap. For those that are paying attention, it was an okay visit. Not much has changed since the last time. We talked about the moving situation, the house situation as it is. Sorry, that's a weird ticking noise. How realizing that it's how do I put it? It's going forward. I will finally have my house to myself again, and all the big plans that I have to change it in a way that I need to be is still forward. It's just going to take longer. Talked about the relationship issues that I've been having lately, as always, considering it's how it's the main reason why I went to begin with. I still feel like I'm in a hole somewhere in the dark, peering out for something that I want, and I don't know if I'll get it. But we talked a lot about me taking a step back from society and social media and stuff like that, as I have. So, I don't reach out. I stopped reaching out a long time ago. So now it's just one more big step backwards to where I'm just kind of in my own little bubble now. Hardly anybody really talks to me. And some days it's great, and some days it's not. It's very eye-opening when you realize just when you remove yourself from social media, when you think that you have all these people that are kind of on your side or in your corner or any of those things that, are supposed to be friendly, and they just don't end up that way. It's nice to know who's really there for you. And it's kind of helpful. It helps me realize that the things that I tend to do for everyone else has never really, mattered too much. I'll have people that I will do a lot of stuff for, and they just get mad at me because I'll sit here and be like, well, it's true that I do so much and I don't really get much in reciprocation. And so they like to name all the things that they do. And at this point, I'm not arguing anymore. I'm just not. I will accept when I've made a wrong accusation or a wrong thing, but if I'm not wrong, I'm just gonna stop arguing because there's no point. There's no point at all. We talked about a funny situation that happened the other day when I was working overtime as much as I was, because I worked a really big stint. On the last day of overtime, I was coming home, the normal route that I've taken for the past 2 years since working at this place. And I stopped at the stoplight to turn down the road that goes to my house, and who pulls up behind me but Love did. And it was funny because she shrunk down in her chair to try to avoid eye contact with me. She knew it was me, obviously. I didn't know first off that it was her until I started, like, what is that person doing? Why are they slouched in their chair? Why are their head turned slightly? Like, what are they? And then I put it together because of the type of car that was put behind me. It was weird. Like, very weird. But, we talked about it, and we kind of jokingly started a conversation about the stories we tell ourselves in our head. And it's hard for me to not have things in like a logical position, because a lot of things make sense. Everybody does things that make sense. It may be horrible sense at that, but it makes sense. There's a puzzle. Your actions are a piece, and it goes into said puzzle, and things fit into line. Um, but when it comes to her, like, there's lots of things that just don't make sense, and it's hard. It's really hard to kind of figuring out what everything means. And so he's trying to teach me to change the perspective a little bit, that not everything should be, or could be even, put inside of a nice, neat little puzzle. And I understand that, but it's hard. It's like, I don't have OCD when it comes to like physical things. Like, I can't be like, oh, well, I'm going to put everything in alphabetical order, or smallest to largest. Like, that's not me. Like, I don't care. But when it comes to individuals and actions and the way people behave, like, everything has to kind of make sense. Like, why are you doing this? And it's hard for me to escape out of that mentality because it, like, I know why I do the things that I do. Like, I could literally, like, give you huge explanations if you have any idea of why I do what I do. But I don't understand why some people do what they do sometimes, and there's a burning feeling in the back of my skull, which is like, but we're working on changing the story that I tell myself so that I don't have to be hung up on that sort of mentality when it comes to other people, especially her and other women in my life, and future women that may come into my life, and things like that. Because sometimes people just want to watch the world burn. And there's more people like that in the world than there are people trying to make sense of it anymore. I just got to get to a mindset to where I'm just flowing back into my own bubble, pushing out the bad, and trying to live in some sort of peace and harmony where I'm at. Still got a long road to go, but the further I pull away, the more it shows You're never as more important as you believe you are. Actions speak louder than words. So that's the reason why I try to show how important you are and everybody else watching this. If you're watching this and you know me personally, you know my actions. I don't have to say much, do I? But until the next one, be kind to everybody. You may be the only kindness they get.